Well, we've heard from drivers from 2 of the classes of cars that compete in the American Le Mans Series, but remember there are 5 different classes on the racetrack at the same time. 3 different prototype classes, Prototype 1 and Prototype 2, the fastest, most high-tech machines that you will see. And then the Continental Tire Prototype Challenge category, all of the chassis identical, the identical Continental tires. It's up to the teams and drivers to maximize their car. In GT, pick a high-tech sports car that you want to drive. It competes in the GT category. Porsches, Corvettes, Ferraris, and more. And in GT Challenge, all of the cars identical 911 GT3 Cup machines with Yokohama tires. Now, the drivers not only fight each other, they fight the racetrack each weekend. John Hindhoff has more. See the number 12 Rebellion prototype go through, and here's a look at your starting grid up top. Neil Johnny on the pole in that number 12 Toyota Power in the back of the Lola chassis there for Rebellion Racing. Guy Smith, what a great job. Kelly talked about it earlier, or Jamie talked about it, I should say. They had an engine problem in qualifying, and yet Guy Smith was magic. Lucas Luhr for Muscle Milk Picket Racing. 2 years in a row they've won this event, but not having a great weekend of it right now, so they need to regroup. Cars down the back straightaway, getting ready, trying to get their tires warmed up, their brakes warmed up, because the tires get more grip the hotter they get. Johnny, how long is it going to take before they're really gripped up to the maximum?
Yeah, you know, Brian, you're looking at least a lap or 2. Again, they also need to build their pressure. What a guy does is he goes left, right, aggressively, you know, swerving his car, but you also brake a lot. Getting a lot of brake temperature will get also a lot of heat in your wheels and tires. But these guys at the start of this first lap, they will not be able to go at racing speed based on tire temperature and pressure.
Well, Chris Dyson in the number 16, the blue and white prototype, really kind of pushed Neil Johnny out of the way there in the black, red, and gold prototype. The green is out, and we are racing at Long Beach.
Very, very tight across the line there, Brian. The front row absolutely together. There's a touch, I think, there as they come down to the braking area of turn number 1. But it's going to be the pole sitter, Neil Johnny, who goes through. And that was a little bit unnecessary in the first 50 yards of a 2-hour race.
How hard do you press, Johnny, as soon as the green flag comes out? These boys fighting hard already.
Well, you know what? I kind of like seeing that from Neil Johnny, seeing him being super, super aggressive going into turn 1. You know what? A lot of guys would have given that position to the Dyson car. Guy Cosmo, I mean, Guy Smith pushing so hard there. You see the Muscle Milk car taking a peek there. But you know what? These Rebellion guys up front there in that prototype, they have been so quick, so impressive.
Neil Johnny made a statement at the start saying, no way, you're taking that from me, not from the pole sitter. And now you're right on board with Lucas Luhr trying to make the best of the 16 in front of him. Side by side a couple of times, but just could not get the deal closed.
And Lucas Luhr here is already getting frustrated, and I'll tell you why. Because that black and gold car is getting smaller in the distance. He doesn't want to see that, Brian. He wants to sit absolutely tight so that they can work out what their strategy and get their pit stop out of the way. It's the usual street fight, Johnny, down in GT.
You know, and as we ride on board the number 3 Corvette here, going down this Long Beach straightaway up into 6th gear, up into about 165, 170 miles an hour, coming into turn 1, late on the brakes. These guys are using paddle shifting on their steering wheel, but just, whoa, big off there by the BMW, bringing in a little bit too deep there. He's got to turn it around.
That's Maxime Martin, and Martin brand new to this.
Get it straightened out here and get back to it. No problem, let's go.
Brand new to this Rahal Letterman Lanigan squad, and is a brand new BMW Z4 in GT for that team this year. And he has had a problem down in turn 1. He's not been here before.
I talked to Maxime Martin just before the race about not being here before. It is his first ever street race, not just at Long Beach. He said it's completely different than anything he's ever experienced. And before the green flag fell, he only had about 10 laps. So he said he was still trying to get comfortable. His co-driver, Bill Oberlin, had been helping him throughout the weekend, but clearly he still is not quite up to terms with this racetrack.
New second place, it's Lucas Luhr. Said he was getting frustrated. He's decided it's time to go, and he's pushed the go button, if you like, and made sure that he's put Chris Dyson back down into 3rd. So it's the 12 car, the Rebellion of pole sitter Neil Johnny, that leads by a decent margin here. Let's see how he made the pass and got into 2nd place.
This is an area, It's an area, I was going to say, where you don't normally see passing, and it took a little bump to get it done. Now, Chris Dyson tries to come back, but can't get it done. And a little damage, I think, to the bodywork on Chris Dyson's number 16.
This is exiting turn 5. He's trying to take a run on Chris, getting in his mirrors. Faking to the inside, gets to the inside. And that's how you do it here at Long Beach. You know, a lot of drivers will say passing here is difficult. No, it's not. You just have to do something better than the car in front of you to make it happen. You do have these very long straightaways that allow you to try overtaking maneuvers.
And now Lucas Luhr beginning to pull away from Dyson, setting sail for Neil Johnny. Johnny has led since the drop of the green, and that team has been so strong here in the American Le Mans Series. The 7th time the American Le Mans Series has come here to Long Beach. 5 different classes of cars competing on the track at the same time. There's a look from up high down on this historic circuit, the longest running temporary street circuit in the United States. We'll be back to more American Le Mans Series from the beach. Neil Johnny led from the drop of the green. He pulled out a little bit. Lucas Luhr beginning to claw down, and now we're seeing some battles into the hairpin. Back, this is the fight for the lead in the P2 category. The black car on the left of your screen, Scott Tucker, the black and green. That is Guy Cosmo in the 01 from Extreme Speed Motorsports.
And a very good drive through the field from Guy Cosmo. Hasn't actually made up a position in class, Brian, but what he's had to do is go through all of the Continental Tires Prototype Challenge category. You said it at the top of the show, Johnny, it's the first driver's job to bring that car back without being scratched and to be able to race on, and he's done a fantastic job in that. In GT, well, we've still got the Viper from pole position leading, but it's another big American muscle car in second place, and there's a smile on Johnny O'Connell's face because it's the Corvette of Antonio Garcia in second position.
You know, such a long time since we've seen the 3-car running here at the front, early moments here in the race. But again, this is one of the exciting things about the GT category. They've done such a great job of getting all these cars equal. We see a problem here for the number 10.
This is Michael Avenatti in the number 10 Tully's Coffee GTC Porsche. I think there's a steering problem on that, Brian, because he's had a couple of problems there.
He had just had a problem in turn 1, but look at this battle that's raging in GT. You got Viper, Corvette, Viper, then Porsche, then Ferrari. It is intense. You want to make all the ground you can, but you can't do it before the drop of the green. So since we're talking about GT cars, take a look at the number 48. Well, there's the 93 pushing the 17 wide.
Well, that's where the Corvette made hay while the sun was shining there. Big gap down the inside. Antonio Garcia didn't need a second invitation.
Yeah, right here, going up on the inside. Oh, a lot of contact there. Brian Sellers will not be happy about that. You see the Corvette gaining position on the inside. You know, again, my philosophy at the start of the race was don't worry so much about gaining position, but try not to lose position.
Well, take a look at the 48 car, the Porsche to the far left of the screen. They were taking a look at that. I said you always try to make as much ground as you can, but you can't before the green flag. Well, the call has been made. The green flag was actually waving down the start finish, and even though he was further back in the pack, as soon as that green flag comes out, you can go. So doing a good job to pick up the positions that they could.
Which is why you have the guys watching that flag stand, and they shout into the earpiece of the driver through the radio, green, green, green.
And a problem there for the number 8. It's one of the Continental Tire Prototype Challenge cars. Chris Cumming behind the wheel from Bar 1 Motorsports. Had been running 4th in the class, but a problem there. And this GT battle is going to be intense.
This is exactly what we expect of the American Le Mans Series. The SRT Vipers really coming through into what we expect, this highly charged battle. And at the moment, I think we have something in the region of 28 wheels of GT battling at the. It looks like it's a freight train of GT cars.
You know, whoa, and here we go.
And the freight train got derailed.
3 cars around. Kumo Whitner probably got a little bit of help in that situation right there. There's damage at the back end of that car.
And the leaders just sneaking by on the outside. The race's overall leader, the number 12 from Rebellion, the Lucas Luhr, slipped by as well from Muscle Milk. And that is what happens when you run this close together on the streets.
Now, that was the separate incident, I think. That's not connected with what we've seen at the hairpin. The 3rd place car, the 93 Viper, turned around, and that is debris on the circuit from that. Chris Cummins, Bar 1 Motorsports, Orica, the Continental Tires Prototype Challenge, was in 4th position.
And when he had his problem earlier and spun, he must have made contact, perhaps just loosened one of those fittings just enough that when the air got underneath the nose of that Prototype Challenge machine, he came on. Look at that.
Attack by the number 3 Corvette of Antonio Garcia. Got a really good run there, okay? Racing is geometry. He forced the Viper on a tighter line going down that straightaway, but look at this. Look at that Viper power. You know, one of the things that all the competitors have been talking about is Viper power and how quick they go down the straightaways. But what Garcia needs to do here, just keep the pressure on. Throw a fake. Every now and then, that opportunity will come. But look at the Ferrari coming up behind him. Sellers, those guys have really had the Ferrari, the red Ferrari, the Ricci Ferrari of Olivier Beretta. There's a guy that's won here before. He knows how to get it done.
Mark Goossens in that silver 91. Full course caution, we're being told, most likely for the debris in the middle of the racetrack, but Mark Goossens leading in GT.
These guys
have never been here before.
These guys were still racing there for a moment, Brian, and now the double yellows are out, and everybody begins to slow down again. The guys on the pit wall play their part there. Now, 15 minutes in. This is right on the cusp of being able to play a tactical card here. It may be a little too early to go to the end, Johnny.
Oh, I definitely think it is. These guys are most likely going to stay in their car. Maybe, you know, run, you know, I think their win will probably come in another 15, 20 minutes. Then they'll be able to take the pit stop. But you know what was an interesting thing? As we watched that GT battle, you saw, you know, Tommy Drisey in front of him go down the pits with Jamie.
And Chris Cumming, the team has already made quick work of fueling the car, so he does have fuel. Now they're making quick work of a new nose on this car. The team, this is a big disappointment for them. They had high hopes coming into the race today. The team's now in their second full season together, so doing these types of changes are a bit easier than they have been in the past. The team was definitely prepared. They're going to do this as quick as possible. This is valuable time. They don't have it, but they are in this for the full season championship, so they're trying to get the valuable points that they need. They will get Chris back out.
Brian Alder, who owns Bar 1 Motorsports, does such a great job, but it just takes a little hit to loosen one of those fasters, and then you put 100 miles an hour worth of air underneath it, and you're going to lose some body work. They'll go to work to get that carbon fiber nose back on, and the car should be okay once they get it back out there, but as it came off, it obviously ripped off other bits and pieces. Now look up in the top of your screen, and you'll see Chris Cumming. There he goes.
Scary, scary moment for Chris Cumming. You've got to think he's going to duck as that happens, and of course he's lost some of the aerodynamic downforce on the front end of that car. He brings it straight back into pit road rather sensibly, but that could have been much worse. Chris there doing a pretty good job to get that car back to the pit lane.
Chris Cumming doing a good job behind the wheel of that Continental Tire Prototype Challenge car, his first year in that type of machine. From the aerial cam, you look down on the Grand Prix of Long Beach Circuit. It is America's Monaco, as it has been called. 39 years they've run this great event. We've been pleased to be here for the last 7. We'll be back to more American Le Mans Series action from Long Beach. Brian Till, Johnny O'Connell, John Hindhaugh back with you from Long Beach. It's the American Le Mans Series. Just 18 minutes, almost 19 minutes now in the books from here at Long Beach before our first full course caution came out for debris on the racetrack. Now, when we talk about fuel strategy here, you've got to think this is too early. Most of these cars can perhaps go an hour, and you want to be efficient to make it to the end. The Michelin Green X Challenge is a competition for these guys. It's about being clean, fast, and efficient. Sponsored by Michelin. You want to go the furthest that you can, the fastest that you can, and the most efficiently that you can. That is scored whoever has the lowest score at the end of the weekend in both the prototype and the GT category takes home the Michelin Green X Challenge, and then there is a season-long championship in the Michelin Green X Challenge as well. But we talk about being clean, fast, and efficient. You want to be efficient here and not burn a lot of fuel so you can perhaps do this race with only one pit stop. But you alluded to it earlier, John. If you can go about an hour, we've only done 20 minutes, an hour from here, if you stopped and got fuel right now, you'd still be short. So I don't expect to see a lot of teams take this opportunity to come to pit lane.
The only thing I thought that somebody might do, Brian, is if you were out of position, maybe a car that had had an issue, like that BMW, the Crown Plaza car at the very beginning with Maxime Martin, you could have gone off sequence and rolled the dice and then try to get off strategy with everybody else. But it seems as though everybody's playing a pretty straight deck at the moment.
Yeah, the only thing is that if you do that, you still can't make it to the end. All these cars here are really looking at only one pit stop to get through this event. I think these GT cars, I'm so excited about this battle. But one of the very cool things is at the front of the spear, Neil Johnny, he's going to have a lot of problem now with a very motivated Lucas Lord.
Well, just before the full course caution came out, we saw that the Prototype 2 class battle was really beginning to heat up, and there was a change.
Right there to the inside, that's actually Scott Sharp. The Patron car 01 going by Scott Tucker. You know, Tucker's one of these guys. He's not a professional. He brings a lot of hired guns on him as we're on board with him. Right there, using the toe to the inside. He's got position. Once you're on the inside, you can control the speed going into the corner if you're smart.
I mean, effectively, you've taken the ability for the car on the outside to turn in, and when you have a driver like Scott Sharp, who was an IndyCar champion, you look at it and you go, he's got plenty of experience. Certainly knows how to get the job done. Guy Cosmo actually being shown by timing and scoring as being in the car right now. And now the field lined up behind the safety car. Safety car comes out, gets the field in order while the safety crews go out and clean up, whether it's an incident or whether it's debris, as it is in this case. They get that cleaned up, and once the field is all lined back up, they'll get things back underway. But it's important for the safety workers to make sure that the field is under control.
And they're back out with a new front section on that car. Is the machine that lost the hood section earlier on, and that's Chris Cummins. He's dropped down to 6th position in the Continental Tires Prototype Challenge category. Shout out for Marino Franchitti as well, who's come up through the field, started 22nd. He's up into 9th position. He still hasn't made up any positions in class though.
Quite a charge by Marino Franchitti in his P2 car. Michelin tires on that car. Michelin comes to Long Beach with a long string of wins over the past 6 years, and as Kelly Stavis shows us, the tires they bring are not just black and round.
This year we see 2 different Michelin tires being used in the P1 class. Muscle Milk has opted to go with the standard Street Soft tire they won with a year ago, while Dyson and Rebellion have chosen this ultra-wide front tire. It's about 1 inch wider and 1 inch taller than the standard Street Soft. There are advantages to both. Because there's less surface area on the standard Street Soft, it will come up to temperature quicker, which helps with cornering and braking. But the ultra-wide front tire takes longer to come up to temperature, but maintains its peak performance longer.
We talked about pit stops being a large part of strategy, and what we see here already is that the Muscle Milk squad has decided to take this early opportunity to pit. Jamie?
And they're doing a full stop. It looks like the fuel is going in now. The driver change also taking place. This driver change is actually the fastest of the two. When Lucas hands the car over to Klaus, they save a lot of time. They are not taking tires. There is lots of strategy playing out right now. The team has been very pleased with the Michelin Street Softs they've been given this weekend. Lucas Lore already out.
I think that's really smart, because what they've done there is they've splashed the fuel, they've changed the driver. They will have to stop again before the end, but it gives them the opportunity to change tyres later when they're going to put less fuel in the car, and that will change the time of the pit stop, because remember, you can only put fuel in or tyres at one time.
This is one of those roll the dice things, because you know what they've done has saved them a driver change under green flag situations. That's time when things can go wrong. But you know what? Because they were second, they had the option to make a choice. They decided to gamble. We're going to have to see how it plays off. But for the Muscle Milk car, the difficult thing is they're going to have to work in traffic, while Neil Johnny in the Rebellion car is not going to have that problem.
Rolling the dice in GT as well. The number 91, the Viper, pitted, as did the number 4 Corvette.
And that was the leader in class. Now, that's very dangerous, giving up track position when you're in the lead of the category. It's so difficult to pass here, so that is a bigger gamble, I think, than the Muscle Milk car.
And we're about to come back to the green flag. Those cars just leaving pit lane, they've got to hustle around to get back to the back of the field. The cards have been played, the green flag back out, and we are underway again. Neil Johnny leads the field.
And it's a brilliant restart for the Swiss driver in the Swiss-entered Rebellion Lola Toyota. He really caught the rest of the field napping. Chris Dyson in second place. There's plenty of ponies in that four-cylinder turbocharged 2-litre Honda engine. He's pulled back up there, but he was caught napping at the green flag.
Now this team, the Rebellion Racing Team, the black number 12, the team has not been here before, but Neil Johnny has raced here in IndyCar before, so he knows this racetrack, and right now what he knows is he's got a mirror full of Dyson.
Yeah, but let's not forget this is a very experienced team, Brian. Bart Hayden across from Europe for a full season in the American Le Mans Series. They come here as World Endurance Championship privateer champions from last year. That's the closest thing to a works team you can get without being a works team. They know how to put a good car together, and clearly they're doing it very well here.
You just heard me make a little bit of noise there, and that's because it would appear that the Dyson guys are having a hard time on turn 8. You know, a little bit of lock up there, but you know what? They get into the corner, they're turning it, the steering wheel, but the car goes straight. We saw Guy Smith yesterday, a big shot.
And that lockup that you saw on the prototype, that's the number 9, the prototype challenge entry of Duncan Indy. Guy Cosmo had gotten around him, but Duncan Indy started in third on that restart. So different classes of cars, you expect to see the P2 car a little bit quicker. Cosmo has gotten around him, but look at the action going on. And I saw another prototype dive to pit lane at the top of the screen, and here's a good battle in GT. Brian Sellers trying to find his way around the Corvette. This is the battle for second.
Antonio Garcia taking a little bit of a defensive line there.
This is turn 1. On board with Brian Sellers on the Falcon Tires Porsche, past the very beautiful fountain on the right, but you don't have a chance to look at that when you're in Brian's position. He's sizing up the leader in the GT category, Antonio Garcia. Remember the Viper that was leading?
A little bit of a wiggle from the Corvette there. It's those little mistakes there, little problems exiting the corner that allows the guy behind to get by.
And some penalties being served in pit lane. The number 62, Olivier Beretta, being penalized for avoidable contact, and you see a prototype challenge car sitting there as well. Let's take a look. That's Beretta in the red Ferrari, slides up inside, and he is the one that gets into the back of the 93 and turns Mark Goossens.
That was early in the race when Mark Goossens was in third position, and we saw that little bit of damage on the right rear on board the Crown Plaza BMW. There goes Beretta, the Monegasque driver from the inside. And I'm sorry, Olivier, you might be a very, very experienced driver, but that was a low percentage move.
Understand a problem, yes, for the Dyson entry, and there is damage, significant damage along the left side of that Mazda Lola prototype.
That's, I think, at the hairpin.
You know, hard to say where that is, but you know what? I got to tell you, you don't know whether something was wrong with that car or not, because going through turn 8, previously, we saw him get a big understeer.
Take a look. Down the back straight, under braking, it's bouncing around. You can see that by his radio
he's
code.
Not turning.
Oh, that just didn't turn in.
Yeah, I don't know whether he had a tire and go down or something, but you know, the previous corner before that, he did have a big understeer.
Kelly Stavis has more on the 16.
Well, and initial reports coming from Chris Dyson is that when he went to make that turn, just nothing happened. So they suspect something did break in that car. They're out of the race.
It's on the wrong side of the track even to be recovered to the pit lane there, even if he could get that car moving again.
In fact, there's a cut to the left where they will pull that wounded machine, and it is out. That's not what they wanted to see, but this is what the fans want to see. Look at this. Porsche against Corvette, but we understand that the caution might be coming out, and it is indeed. The caution is out, and that is going to be for the 16 there, but you can already see the Porsche, Brian Sellers, in that turquoise-colored Porsche had gotten past the Corvette. The question is he going to have to give that position back? Was the caution out at the time?
And that is a new leader if that's allowed to stand. There was a local yellow at the final corner.
We'll get it sorted out after a quick break. We'll take a break from Long Beach. Here's a look at your 5 class leaders in the American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Long Beach. We'll be back to more from California right after this. Back at Long Beach, Safety car is out. The second full course caution, and the safety car getting the field lined up. Chris Dyson stranded on the outside of the hairpin in his number 16 machine, and while the crews go to work to clean up the racetrack, safety car gathers up the field and expect to see some pit stops. The winner of this week's Intercontinental Hotels Group Suite Watch and Win contest is James Harder from Anaheim Hills, California. James wins 50,000 IHG Priority Club points that he can redeem for free nights at many IHG properties. So log on to ALMS.com to find out how you could become the next winner. Maybe you could use some of those points for free nights at an American Le Mans Series event somewhere.
Oh, like that idea. Like that idea. Some great places to come and watch the world's best sports cars racing here in America. Tactically now, Johnny, then, who wins, who loses at this time? So if you haven't made your stop, do you decide you're going to do it now?
Well, you know, you got a little bit more time, you know, to go here, but those guys that haven't done a driver change, you always want to do your driver changes under caution. That gives you a little bit of a bonus there should there be a problem. What's going to be interesting is to see what happens with the GT categories. We did have a change at the lead with Brian Sellers getting around, and you know, so many things are going to happen. And that, to me, Brian, is one of the most exciting things about Long Beach, because strategies all change here. Remember, our normal American Le Mans Series race is 2 hours, 45 minutes. You come to Long Beach, you don't get the amount of practice time. You don't get the amount of, you know, setup time that you normally do for an event. So Long Beach, man, it's a crapshoot. They might as well call it Vegas.
Well, you know, what's interesting is there are not a lot of cars that came in, so that strategy, we didn't expect to see cars the first caution. We did. This caution, I expected to see more, and we haven't.
And the pits are open for everyone at the moment, because it hasn't been a very long time since the last full course caution. We are now in the window for Scott Tucker, who sits in 4th position in the 551. To get his points in that 551 car, he's got to do 40 minutes behind the wheel. And look at the ticker on the top of the screen. In 25 seconds time, this car could go into pit lane, Scott Tucker can get out, and Ryan Briscoe, my goodness me, he knows this track very well, can get in. But look, how close is he going to be to coming into pit lane as it counts down?
Well, and think about this too, and for the fans that saw the Muscle Milk team come in and change drivers, in the P1 category with 2 pro drivers, they only have to do 20 minutes, I believe, or 15 minutes. If you're in the P2 category, you have to do at least 40 minutes as a driver, and that is why we did not see Scott Tucker before. And there we go. Look past the time. He's going to come in because we are past that time, and Scott Tucker has done his 40 minutes to collect points. And there he is. He's on pit road right now.
So that's very, very interesting, because that means Marino Franchitti in the 552 car.
Get ready for driver change. He'll be straight out and straight into the 552.
Just going to say, will they pull that car straight in? The answer comes from the pit wall. Yes, they will. So Scott Tucker is getting ready to do double duty, but he can only score points in this car.
And you got to hand it to Scott Tucker. He runs this team so well, and he participates in both cars every weekend. He's improving as a driver. You said earlier he's not a pro. Well, he's pretty darn quick. He'll rest, he'll get a little drink of water, and he'll get ready to climb aboard the 552 when Marino Franchitti brings it in.
Yeah, but right now, getting into the 551 is a guy that's so fast. Ryan Briscoe, you know, we all know him from his Penske days and all that kind of stuff, getting in that car. So I think between them and the 01 car, where you should have Guy Cosmo getting in, you are going to have one heck of a P2 battle.
And that battle is about to get underway. Scott Sharp now behind the wheel of the number 01, but there's a problem. He cannot get the car to fire. He's been sitting for several seconds now. Fuel and tires are both complete. It's very tight down here in pit lane. Flying Blizzard, he did get beat out of pit lane by Level 5 Motorsports. Number 44 from Flying Lizard was right in front of him. They're having to push that car in reverse because of the angle that he pulled in at. So none of these pit stops are going according to plan at the moment.
It is tight on pit road, and you also saw the white and orange prototype slide in front of the prototype from Extreme Speed Motorsports, so that is going to put another car in between.
And now we see Scott Tucker leaving pit lane in that 552 Level 5 Motorsports machine. And what a job Marino Franchitti did, starting from the 22nd position overall. He told me he wasn't even sure if he would catch the PCs, but he worked his way through half that field and along with the GT field. So good work by Marino, making his way through that traffic and gaining spots for Level 5.
all of that hard work that he's done there, and he's still 4th position in class. And there's a frustration, but also a beauty about that for a driver, Johnny, because you're making all those passes and you're having fun getting past those cars, but you actually haven't improved your position in your own class.
You're still at the back, and you know, and he put in a great drive, but you know what? Getting to the to the front here in the American Le Mans Series, it's no easy deal.
Cool stuff, and we love to come west every year with the American Le Mans Series. And on Sunday, May 12th, the American Le Mans Series returns for its 14th season as some of the top drivers in the world compete at Mazda Raceway in Monterey, California. The American Le Mans Series, Monterey, Sunday, May 12th at 4 on ESPN2. There's not a prettier track, I don't think, than Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. Love coming west. And Long Beach here, so great to start here 7 years ago. It's so fun to bring these prototypes and GT cars to the tight confines of the street. That's one of the great things about the American Le Mans Series. We run on all different types of racetracks.
You want to see a dogfight happening here in Long Beach, Brian. This is going to happen right at the front. You've got Neil Johnny, Klaus Graf, and the P1 cars, and then all these GT cars lined up behind them. This is going to be sweet.
And the number 91 Viper pitted at the end, did a little splash. They think they're going to be good to go to the end. They've played their cards. That is a long way to go on a tank of fuel here at Long Beach, and we are back at it.
Do you know what? I'm going to put some money down on the 62 Ferrari as well. Matteo Malagucci is at that rail, and I've got a feeling that he might be able to go from here as well. The GTs go through turn number 1, led by Brian Sellers in the 17, sitting in 3rd position overall at the moment. That's quite unusual to see a GT car that far up, but that's what two full course cautions closely together. It's mixed up this field, and really now we've got racing right the way through the field.
Look at the red and white Ferrari, the number 23, being hounded by the Corvette right now. That is Bill Sweedler from Alex Job Racing. The Corvette slips by, but you got to give Sweedler and that entire team a hand, a big nod. That car seriously damaged at Sebring in a huge incident. They got it back together. Not only did they get it back together, it has been quick here at Long Beach, and they've got a lot more development to do. They're running Yokohama tires, not designed for this Ferrari right now, so when they get some Yokohamas on it that were designed for this chassis, it is going to be strong.
And he's under attack right now from a BMW, but Yokohama, you know, this is the first time in ages that they've been on a competitive car to really, you know, allow us to assess where the performance is, and right here in Long Beach, they're doing a super job.
Joey Hand in the BMW behind that red and white Ferrari, the next one trying to take the fight to Sweedler.
Now those guys who haven't pitted, including Brian Sellers at the head of this GT field, they've just got to stay out now as long as they can. As a spinner, it's the 552.
It's Scott Tucker, and he's backwards in the hairpin. And
if you look right there, you can see a lot of shiny surface there.
There's a lot of fluid down. John has telestrated it for us, showing us that line on the outside. There's another car backwards. It is the number 8.
You know what? If there's the fluid down all over the circuit, we may see another fluid caution.
It's Kyle Marcelli in the number 8 from bar 1. That car had problems earlier and a lot of fluid down. It looks like it's caught 2 of our prototype drivers.
Kyle Marcelli not in a good place there. You cannot see Johnny round that corner. He's got reverse. Let's go back and see what happened to have caused that and who's put the fluid down. We need to find that out as well. Here comes the GT battle.
Nice, everything's dry. Oh, he got a little help there.
Yeah,
he got a lot of help there.
And the damage is going to be done to the number 11, Jan Halen from JDX Motorsports in a GTC Porsche. Drills the back of Scott Tucker right there, and it's going to puncture the front radiator on that Porsche. The question is, did Jan Halen get help from the Flying Lizard Porsche that was behind him? Because there were 3 cars stacked up into the hairpin right there. And that is the nature of street racing and the nature of the infamous hairpin at the Long Beach Grand Prix. It has caught many out, whether it was a Formula 1 driver, an IndyCar driver, or a sports car driver. And right now, it looks like Jan Halen, Scott Tucker, and perhaps one of the Flying Lizard Porsches also caught up in the hairpin. There's a look at your 5 class leaders from the American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Long Beach. A look from high above the Grand Prix circuit at Long Beach, California. The American Le Mans Series car behind the Porsche safety car. It's a Porsche Panamera safety car that leads the field right now. We're under full course caution for the contact in the hairpin. We saw one of the GT Challenge Porsches into the back of Scott Tucker, and now everybody's playing their hand. It's time. You've got a little over an hour to go. And for a GT car, they can make the distance if they fill the tank right now. So everybody playing their hand and coming to pit road.
You know, and Brian, to me, this is so exciting because this is when the crew guys become athletes. Those guys that can get their car done, tires changed, driver in, they're going to be put in a golden opportunity to win the Long Beach Grand Prix.
And remember what I said, there's no second chances here. All these cars can go fuel to the end from here. There's only one chance. You better make it good, guys. This could win you the race.
And we see both the 3 and 4 Corvettes pit from 2nd and 4th positions, respectively. Both will make driver changes. So Antonio Garcia out of the number 3 with Jan Magnussen in, and now Tommy Milner hands over driving duties to Oliver Gavin. Now this crew works tirelessly on their pit stops. They get those tire changes down to between 6 or 7 seconds. It can make all the difference, Jamie.
And Falcon Tires also taking this opportunity to come in for a pit stop. It was a very fast one. They have beat Corvette back out of pit lane. It was full service. Wolf Hensler now behind the wheel of the car. That team, they worked on their pit stops in the last race at Sebring. They saved 20 seconds during the race on their pit stop, so another clean one for them. Also just on pit road was the number 01 from Extreme Speed Motorsports. It was fuel only, and Scott Sharp is back out.
Wolf Hensler now behind the wheel of the Team Falcon Tire Porsche. This team has 3 victories in the American Le Mans Series, 2 of them coming on street circuits, very similar to this in Baltimore. Back-to-back victories. And you see Hensler working the wheel right there, trying to slide those tires, get them heated up, and get the pressures built up.
How awesome is this battle going to be? I mean, I have raced with Wolf Hensler here on Long Beach, and that cat is so hard to get around, and you've got one motivating Jan Magnussen. There's been a long time since they have been in the winner's circle. We are about to see some awesome racing.
And the 91 SRT Viper, Dominic Farnbacher, has made 2 stops, remember, did that little splash, and has stayed out on the circuit. 3rd position overall, leading GT. They are rolling the dice, and every single lap of yellow now helps their cause, because they do not want to have to make another pit stop just on 1 hour to go.
Well, and the strategy of pit stops, you look at the end of the race, not the beginning of the race, and you say, how far can I run? If I can run for an hour, then I go to the end of the race, I back time it, so to speak, and you need to look at that, and teams say, at the hour mark, I want to be the first one to make my last pit stop. For the GT cars, that is the case. Now the prototype cars on pit road, they can't go quite as far. These are your leaders. They can run 50 to 55 minutes. Both of these cars are going to need another caution if they're going to make it to the end on fuel.
This is the first stop we've seen for this Rebellion Toyota. What a story they have. This car was built for the long tracks in Europe, not these tight corner street circuits here like we see at Long Beach. They've done a driver change, so Nick Heidfeld, the former Formula One driver, is now taking over driving duties for Neil. Johnny, this team told me that along with that outright speed they showed in qualifying, that strategy was going to be so important. Well, this is their first time here at Long Beach, so they went back and reviewed races from years past to see how strategies played out. It was a relatively clean and quick stop for Nick Heidfeld. He's back out on pit lane.
But it wasn't quick enough, because you saw the Muscle Milk car and Klaus Graf behind the wheel. They had been earlier. They had done their driver change. All they needed was fuel. They are going to run their Michelin tires to the end. And right now, the Rebellion just now leaving pit lane. So Muscle Milk with a big gain on that stop.
It was such a quick pit stop for Muscle Milk Racing. They have to switch out a data card. That is a rule in the series. Every time they come into pit lane, they put in a new data card that goes into the series. Well, the time that it took to get the data card out and put a new one in, fuel was already complete. That was the only holdup that they had. So this team is definitely relying on their strategy today.
And it's strategy, in terms of Muscle Milk, guys, that is reliant on the longevity of those Michelin Street Softs we were talking about, because it looks to me as though they are going to go the full race on the set of tyres they qualified on in the qualifying session yesterday. And it's a long time. I think we go back to Miami and the champion Porsche when they last did that, and they won the race with that strategy.
Extreme Speed Motorsports has made no secret of why they made the decision to make the move from GT to the Prototype 2 category. They are looking to build a solid foundation for 2014 when they plan on going for the full championship. Part of that plan is improving their teamwork. Last year, each the 01 and the 02 car had 2 separate pit boxes. This year, they decided to switch to one. What they determined in running in GT was that they actually had 2 teams under one roof instead of one team running 2 cars. So far, 2 races in, they said this has been a huge improvement. The engineers, they can talk about changes that they're doing each car. The team is now making changes together, and this is going to be the difference, they think, that's going to get them the championship.
And I just want to say something very quickly. SRT Viper Dominic Farnbacher led the race to the green flag. What a fantastic turnaround it's been for this team in their first full season of American Le Mans Series racing with this iteration of Viper.
And you ride on board right now. Farnbacher now beginning to slip back. You would expect the prototype cars to be a little bit quicker. It's Colin Brown in a Continental Tire Prototype Challenge car in front. Then the 551 of Ryan Briscoe on the charge. But things are going to get mixed up here for a couple of laps as these 5 classes of cars compete with each other.
And watch the Ferrari behind, guys. This is really important. This is Malicelli trying to get his lap back and get back on the lead lap. And they think, Dave Sims down at Risi Competizione, they think they can go the full distance from here. Watch that red car.
Well, you know, getting by a Viper here on Long Beach is going to be difficult because they, number one, they had the pole. They obviously have a good handling car, but they're also extremely strong out of these corners. So getting there and getting by might be 2 different things for Malicelli. He's going to have a lot of motivation if he's going to get by a guy right now, Dominic Farnbacher, that wants to get that first Viper win.
Well, the battle continues from here at Long Beach. Things getting sorted out now after the full course caution, and we've gone back to green. GT, one of the hottest battles out there, and you'll see those Corvette racing Corvettes out there trying to give battle. They're trying to close back down on the Viper, and the American Le Mans Series and Chevrolet Corvette have teamed up again for the sports car racing fans' dream. A grand prize of an all-new 2014 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray and all-expense-paid VIP insider trip to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Go to racetowincorvette.com for your chance to win the ultimate sports car fans' dream prize. And Johnny O'Connell, no, you cannot enter. The battle continues from here at Long Beach. There's a look at your 5 class leaders. We'll be right back right after this. There's Klaus Graf leading in the P1 category. The 05 right behind him had been your overall leader, but Graf has gotten past him. As you would expect, the P1 machine's a little bit faster than the Continental Tire Prototype Challenge cars.
And the race has been somewhat fractured in the early stages, certainly the first half, by the full course caution. But what we've got now is strategy having played out. This is the guys who are chasing that Muscle Milk car down. They were in the pits a little bit longer. They changed drivers and tyres. The 6 car playing the strategy card. They're going to try and do the whole 2 hours on just one set of Michelin tyres. And that's a big, big gamble. Will that pay off, or will these guys get the pass?
Well, Neil, Johnny led every race lap that he drove. And Neil, you've slipped down to second now after that pit stop, but do you feel confident in your team's strategy?
Well, I think what Muscle Milk did was a better strategy to change driver very early, first yellow. But that's the inexperience we have, unfortunately, this year, because they're just running a lot more in America, and it's a lot of strategy. But now we're hoping for a second yellow or another yellow so we can catch up, and then hopefully a big fight the last 10 minutes.
How did you find the traffic here on the streets of Long Beach?
It's pure survival. I had already, before the green flag fell, a contact with Chris Dyson, who couldn't make the whole turn on the hairpin. And then with the Porsche and the Corvettes, and it's just a mess. I had several contacts and just trying to avoid a lot of debris on the track, but you know, it's fun, it's fun.
Thanks, Neil.
Nick Heidfeld being chosen 8th on the racetrack right now, trying to work his way back up to Klaus Graf. In the Prototype Challenge category, Colin Brown for Core Autosport. This team has won here the last 2 years at Long Beach, but not Colin Brown and John Bennett. It has been a team car. They've gone down to 1 car this year, and they're having a good run right now in Continental Tire Prototype Challenge, running 2nd overall and 1st in class.
And their nearest challengers is just pitted. That's Tristan Nunez. in the 18, and this is not for a pit stop, Brian.
No, it's for a pit stop violation. There was a problem earlier on one of the stops. He couldn't serve his penalty, and the reason was because of all the full course cautions. Now, Tristan Nunez, who is one of the young guns and one of the young up-and-comers of the series, serves his penalty. You see him shaking his head. Show you why he's serving the penalty, what the problem was here on the pit stop. No, it's not. It actually happens on the track. Avoidable contact. He gets into the back of Scott Tucker. And some damage there. Tucker's been around twice. He's been accosted twice.
Well, this actually
it's actually Marino. Yeah, that's how long ago it was. That's how long ago it was. Marino was still in the car. He just hasn't been able to serve the penalty because of all the full course caution. You have to serve a penalty under green flag conditions.
And sit and wait
for 60 seconds.
I mean, talk about going to the principal's office. But you know, one of the cool things, you know, that is going on right now, Colin Braun, you know, has just been driving spectacularly yesterday. He didn't get the pole, but put one heck of an effort. And right now, with their strategy and everything, they position themselves to win. And right now, the number 18 car has lost a lap.
Well, you see Colin Braun go by. We should mention that stop and hold for 60 seconds for avoidable contact. That is a standard penalty. If you make contact with another car, move them out of the way and gain a position, you're going to come to pit road. So it's one of those deals where it's standard, it's not arbitrary. They can't base it on the degree by which you hit the guy. That is the standard penalty. Let's move back to GT Challenge, one of the other challenge classes where all of the cars are the same. You ride on board the leader. That is the number 30 from NGT Motorsports.
And this is Sean Edwards, the Englishman, driving that, and that gives me great pleasure to say that he is leading this category. Sean's a very busy boy, clocks up more air miles than I think anyone else. I think last year he did 7 24-hour races, and he's trying to do at least that many again this year, and doing a very nice job. Thank you very much indeed for that beautiful dark red Momo sponsored machine. And he's holding at the moment something like 4 seconds in hand over the Flying Lizards number 45, with Spencer Pumpelly in second place in that GT Challenge category.
Which a lot of times seems like a lot of time, but all it takes is a little bit of traffic. Some guy having a problem in front of you, and that gap can close like that. That's the difficult thing about Long Beach. You've always got to be pushing and anticipating what may be having, like what trouble, and there you have some.
It literally lurks around every corner. You see the waving yellow flag, a prototype challenge car backwards on the racetrack.
That's very tight to get it turned round now. Did he jump or was he pushed? Oh no, he jumped. No one else, and the black marks on the road, I'm afraid, telling you exactly what happened there. Nice avoidance by Wolf Hensler coming through, and it was 4th at the time for Rusty Mitchell, and he's managed to get out of the way, and, well,
he's doing an epic job.
Mitchell backs it out of the way. Good job there, but ooh, and then a little contact with the tires, but he'll get back underway.
No parking sensors on the back of that Orica.
Well, and you say no parking sensors, but in all seriousness, no traction control on the prototype challenge car. So these drivers, you saw him get loose at the exit of the corner. Rusty Mitchell has had problems. He's not the only one here at Long Beach. The streets of Long Beach can be pretty mean. Behind the wheel of the 01 right now, leading, just coming into the shot behind the Porsche. And a good day for this team. They have run GT over the past couple of years, and they've made that step into prototype. That is a big step.
A huge step. With Sebring being their first race, getting their feet wet, you know, normally a team, you know, acquires their car in the offseason. They have a lot of time with it. Right now, Extreme Speed is doing an awesome job.
Right now, Scott Sharp knows how to run a prototype. He's done it before.
And in talking with the team in the last couple of weeks, they say switching from prototype, from GT up to the prototype ranks, their old car, it was like a 10-piece puzzle. This new car, it's like a 1,000-piece puzzle with all black pieces. So it's taken some time to get the car figured out. It's not just the big picture, though. It's the little things that you wouldn't think about. For example, when they were running with Ferrari, they had one set of tools that they used. They've had to go out and purchase all new tools that are in the standard category. So it's all the little things. Certainly a great effort for that team here today.
I say Scott Sharp knows how to drive a prototype. He won a championship in the P1 category, but the team is new to prototype racing. And the guys that put it together, as Jamie just said, they're the ones that have to learn the lesson and know how it goes together and make sure that it's right every weekend.
But you talked about the team there, Brian. They've done a cracking job here because they've played that strategy again. This has been a race where you've got to take your chances and adapt to the conditions around you. They've done a great job, Johnny.
Well, and look at who they're beating. The guys at level 5, you're talking some great drivers with Franchitti, you know, Ryan Driscoll, all that kind of stuff, and a very fast and experienced team. So what, you know, Scott Sharp and the Extreme Speed guys are doing here, pretty impressive.
Well, level 5 Motorsports certainly knows how to run and win in the P2 category. They are the reigning champions in category, but the 552 sitting in the pits right now, and that car has been beat up today. You see Scott Tucker behind the wheel and the crew going to work on the front end of that HPD chassis. Let's take a look as to why.
All looks good at this point. Under braking in the middle of the GT battle. He turns in. Oh! And I'm not a driver, Johnny, but that's a misjudgment.
That's bad. Man, you know, and again, you want to be close to your apex, not that close. And that's one of the difficult things when you're following somebody closely. Sometimes you can run these walls a little bit too tight. Really caught Scott Tucker out there, and a lot of times you hit that inside wall, it ping-pongs you off into that outside wall.
So they had to come in, take the nose off, and look at that left front suspension. As you can imagine, it was damaged. You got to think that perhaps Scott Tucker got a little injury to his hands. That had to have hurt, that's for sure.
And we've seen Scott Tucker do double duty, so he started in his sister car, the 551, and it's unfortunate for both of these cars because the 552 had really worked its way through the field with Marino Franchitti. They hadn't made up any room within the P2 class, but he had been gaining on his opponents before he handed over the car over to Scott Tucker. Meanwhile, the 551 had led at one point, but it suffered a tire puncture. They don't know if it was from debris on the track or perhaps some contact that they didn't see. So while this 552 sat here in pit lane, its sister car, the 551, came in to do a pit stop and get 4 fresh Michelin tires on it. It was a bit of a lengthy stop as they had to push that car back and work it around the 552. So an unfortunate day here at level 5.
Unfortunate indeed, and I said that had to hurt his hands. You know, you'll watch an IndyCar driver or open wheel driver let go of the wheel if they're going to have an impact with the wall, because as that wheel spins, it can break your wrist or your thumbs. Scott Tucker didn't know that one was coming, and that had to be hard on his hands and his wrists.
Ryan Briscoe having a look down the inside and uses the superior performance. Remember, classes, different class of car, racing all the time, so you might not be passing for position, but you've still got to have your wits about you.
You're right, on board the number 3 right now. And remember that the American Le Mans Series and Chevrolet Corvette have teamed up again for the sports car racing fans' dream. That dream, a grand prize of an all-new 2014 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray and an all-expense-paid VIP insider trip to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Go to racetowincorvette.com for your chance to win the ultimate sports car fans' dream prize. We'll be back to more from Long Beach right after this, right after we give Johnny O'Connell a little bit of oxygen. Talk about fights. There's a good battle on the racetrack right now as GT competitors working their way through. The black Porsche to the left, not in class, that's a GT Challenge car. But you see the Viper, that's the number 93 out in front, the yellow and silver car. That is 4th in GT, and they were actually going past that red and yellow Porsche. That is the leader in GT Challenge.
Yeah, that's Sean Edwards. He's got to keep his eyes on the mirrors behind him because he doesn't want to get in the way of this battle. Take a deep breath and just watch. This is proper street racing. The 2 Corvettes hunting in packs. Now the frustration, Johnny, is clearly there because there was nothing that Sean Edwards could do. Up ahead, it's been good strategy and great racing by Dominic Farnbacher and the SRT Viper guys. Nobody can begrudge them this run today. They're doing great stuff.
You know, and they got the car on the pole. They've done a great job. You know, you talk to people, and off the record, they say the one team that they were really worried about was SRT. We saw at Sebring how competitive that they had become, how fast this car is, and everybody was very much worried about their power, but it seems that they have their handling working as well, you know, from here at Long Beach.
Well, and you also saw the speed differential between the classes of cars. A lot of people would think, well, it's harder to drive the faster cars, but in reality, if you're in one of those slower classes, you're not only having to run your race, you're having to keep an eye on your mirror, as you said.
Yeah, you know what? If you're in the prototype category, it's easy. Everything's in front of you, okay? But when you're in a GT category, you're worried about what's in front of you as well as what's behind you. Remember, we saw the radar that the Corvettes used at Sebring.
Now that black BMW is about to put a lap on that bright red, as pretty much all Ferraris should be if they are racing. Number 62, that's Malicelli. We thought he might get his lap back. He hasn't quite done it. The black BMW is in second place, and it hasn't been a clean run. Remember, we saw that car down the escape road in turn 1 earlier.
As BMW Team RLL still continue to develop the new Z4 race car, they're also still developing their new partnership with Michelin. They have not found the boundaries of this tire yet, but Bill Oberlin was on the radio with the team just a couple laps ago saying that he actually feels like the tires are wearing off. The team radioing back to him saying, make sure you manage those tires. We have just over 20 minutes remaining, and we want to make sure you have enough to fight to the end. Bill is nothing but a professional. He has more experience with that team and with BMW than anybody else in the world. So he certainly has his hands full right now, but they are still developing that whole program.
He wants to be back past that Ferrari, though, Johnny, at the moment, because the Viper is just getting away a little bit, and Bill, he wants to win this race. Second would be good, but first is always better.
Yeah, and that, you know, if I'm Bill Oberlin right now, I'm kind of ticked off at Malicelli. I mean, that's, you know what, the right thing for him to do in this type of series, get out of the situation. You know, it's one thing if you've got the leader behind you, but if the leader's gone by you, give that position back. So I'm sure right now Malicelli's not making any friends with the guys at BMW.
It'll be interesting to see if he can get a little help as the Rebellion's going to go by him on the straightaway. I thought maybe if it didn't happen until the end of the end of the straightaway in the braking zone, he might be able to follow him through, but it happened long before that. On board the 56, Dirk Mueller, another one of the Z4s from BMW Team RLL.
And the Ferrari clearly had a bit of a jump on Bill out of that. Look at the elegant isolation coming down into turn 1. This looks like it's a practice session, but Dirk Muller, with clear road ahead of him, really needs to make the best of this. And when you're sitting in the driver's seat, Johnny, this is what you want to see. You want to see clear track so you can get your head down and start to close that gap, particularly when you've only got 23 minutes left.
You're thinking nice, clean, all that kind of stuff, and at the same time you are praying for evil traffic for the guys in front of you. Anything that you can do to close that gap.
Evil traffic.
Evil traffic.
Not just normal traffic. Yeah. Well, here's a bit of traffic for the 93 Corvette. This is Jonathan Bomarito in 4th position.
And what you probably don't realize is that he is getting mugged right now from behind by Wolf Hensler, Jan Magnussen, Oliver Gam, Kevin, Marco Holzer. We've got all these guys right here, you know, running for 4th, 5th position, really doing hard battle.
Well, and on top of that, look at the different makes, the different manufacturers, Viper, Ferrari, Porsche, Corvette.
And the different methods of how those cars are propelled. They've all got engines, of course, but the Corvette has the engine right in the front. It's a big 10-cylinder. The Porsche hanging out over the back wheels, great traction off the corners. The Ferrari, it's in the middle, beautiful balance, wears its tyres nicely. It's just fantastic. This is why we love sports car racing, because there's more than one answer to the question of go fast, go long.
And as Jamie said, and as we've talked about, the BMW Z4, brand new this year, and a very different car than what that team ran last year with the BMW M3. So the team coming to grips with it, drivers coming to grips with it, and trying to find a good tire match for that Z4. Right now, the number 3 Corvette, Jan Magnussen in 6th in GT, trying to close the gap to Wolf Hensler in that turquoise-colored Porsche. And you said it earlier, Hensler really trying to mug the back end of the Viper in front of him. Jonathan Bomarito behind the wheel of the silver and yellow number 93 Viper. On to the back straightaway, Team Falcon Tire, Wolf Hensler giving chase. These Falcon Tires working here at Long Beach.
And we have seen Team Falcon Tire succeed on street courses with 2 wins back-to-back in Baltimore. But this is a new tire. This is a brand new spec that they just debuted this weekend. It is their normal street course compound, but it's a whole new tire construction. They've done a tremendous amount of testing since last season, and they feel like they've certainly found something here in the longevity of the tire. So with 20 minutes remaining, it'll be interesting to see how well those Falcons hold on.
Well, they have always had a strong tire on street circuits. We talked about that earlier, and right now the Porsche looking strong, but we still have 20+ minutes to go from here at Long Beach, round 2 of the 2013 American Le Mans Series season. And Johnny's trying to keep it together. John's trying to keep it together because we've got action on the racetrack in Long Beach.
And that is the battle for the lead in the GT category. Wolf going down the inside and trying to take, sorry, for second and third in the category, fifth and sixth in the category. I'm so excited, I've got it all wrong.
You know, and you watch that happen and all that kind of stuff, and as a guy that's racing against these guys, you could sense the frustration on Wolf Hensler as he was following the 9-3 of Bomarito, but he won there. So I guarantee you Wolf Hensler threw the Falcon tire effort away today because he's going to be visiting in the penalty box. It didn't even get close.
It just happened from such a long way back, Johnny. That was the thing. You could almost see it coming. The flying banner, by the way, not standard equipment on the back of the SR2 Viper.
Paul Walter, the race director, will look at this and the stewards will review it. And once again, if the contact was deemed to be too aggressive, if he takes the position away by contact, he'll visit the penalty box.
Now, the rule is you got to get next to the guy before the turning point. And you know, when we had that overhead shot earlier, you could see, man, that wasn't going to happen. I mean, he just kind of threw it in. Now, watch. He commits to going inside, doesn't get in deep enough, and you know, Wolf even knew it as he threw it in there. Yes, he did. You know,
he'd lost it before he hit him.
Yeah, and you know, and a lot of times, and Wolf does this, he operates under the "I'll hope you get out of my way" type deal.
Listen,
moves to the inside. I'm going to try you.
There was a lot of hope there.
And meanwhile, in the background, if you're Jan Magnussen, you're just saying, God, thank you so much, Wolf.
Well, and you're saying, too, don't let the car roll, because now you've got cars sitting in the middle of the racetrack. You've got to pick your line on the way in and hope that the other cars don't get back underway. Now, here's a battle in GTC. So while all that goes on, the 55 of Bill Auberlen has gotten past the Viper of Dominic Farnbacher. You see Farnbacher about 6 or 8 car lengths back. Auberlen has cleared the Viper.
And that, he's gapped him as well and disappeared into the distance. This was the car that was down the escape road earlier on in the race, very early on for Maxime Martin. That Viper had looked a little less good on its tyres. And here's how the pass went on, and this is down at turn 1.
This is turn 1. Oh, Dominic gets a little bit deep, gets a little bit of a wiggle, has to open up his hands to catch it. He did a great job doing that, but that just really exemplifies how much on the edge. Let's listen. Oh, you can hear. You know what? Not a really good down change there. Locks up the rears, a little chatter, and Billy's just saying, ha-ha. Long Beach is my home, and he is going to check out.
What a way to turn round an afternoon with his teammate Maxime Martin putting the Crown Plaza car down the escape road early on. Great pit strategy and a little help from the full course caution. But what did we say before? You've got to be adaptable, Brian.
Absolutely. 107 ALMS starts for Bill Auberlen. This would be 108 today, but he has not won an American Le Mans Series competition here at Long Beach, and the call just came in for Wolf Hensler in the number 17. Stop and hold for 60 seconds for avoidable contact in turn 1.
And there's no surprise on any of our faces here in the booth that it's going to seem like about 5 minutes in there. And whilst this is happening, we've got some late pit stops as well. The 0-2, Johannes van Overbeek, been and gone. That's the second place car in Prototype 2. At least he knows it was his fault. He's not serving someone else's penalties. He bangs his helmet off the back of the seat there, Johnny.
Well, you know, he might not think it's his fault. He might think, you know what, I was in there. You must make the room for me. But that was my German accent. So, but you know what? It didn't happen. You know, they had contact, and, you know, 60 seconds, you know, it doesn't seem like a lot of time when you're, you know, 10 years old and you're timeout. But when you're sitting in your race car, man, it seems like an hour.
But Johannes van Overbeek was just on pit road.
It was a very quick scheduled stop for Johannes van Overbeek. It was just a simple splash of fuel, car refired without a problem, and he's already out.
That was another one of the competitors who could run 50 to 55 minutes. They gambled on getting another yellow. You burn as much fuel in 1 lap of green as you do in 3 laps of yellow. So if you get that yellow, you know, you can make good fuel mileage, so to speak. And they gambled that another yellow would come, and they didn't get it.
It's been a good run from ASM, though, with first and second in the Prototype 2 category. Again, they have benefit with major rivals having issues in the 551 and the 552. We saw Scott Tucker in the pit lane, didn't we, earlier on with severe damage to the 552 car, and it's not been a clear run for the other level 5 car either. Now this is the battle for the GTC lead. This has been a great run back in the 45 of Spencer Pumpelly. He's got the gap down to 0.8 of a second. Not all by his own endeavours, in fairness, Johnny. That incident that we saw in turn 1 just slowed up Sean Edwards in the Momo car a wee bit.
Yeah, you know, and see, that was like I said, you know, you'll hope for evil, bad traffic for the guys in front of you, and that was that opportunity to make that happen. You know, one of the most difficult things is when you're a driver and you're leading a category and you see a yellow flag, you're supposed to slow down, but, you know, your guys that are behind you, they might not slow down. So that's always a difficult thing. Obviously, right there, that was a situation where the 30 car slowed down a little bit more.
Spencer Pumpelly in the silver and red Porsche with the yellow window banner, the yellow mirrors, trying to hang on to the back of Sean Edwards. But Edwards looking strong in his GT Challenge Porsche from NGT Motorsports, that beautiful Momo livery on the front of it. And this is far from over. Pumpelly not going to give up. 10 minutes to go from Long Beach. Round 2 of the 2013 American Le Mans Series season, and the 7th time that this series has visited the streets of Long Beach. Just under 10 minutes to go, and we'll be back to more from the Grand Prix of Long Beach right after this. Looking down on the Long Beach Grand Prix circuit, the white prototype working his way through the hairpin. One more time is Klaus Graf from Muscle Milk Picket Racing, leading here in the American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Long Beach. He has worked his way to the front. They used some strategy, John, to get there, and once out in front, he has really opened a gap over Nick Heidfeld in the number 12 from Rebellion Racing.
Well, you know you've done things right when your major competitor in an interview in the pit lane gives you the credit for getting ahead and doing that early pit stop. That's what got them ahead. It meant that their second pit stop was much shorter. They got the track position.
In the attitude in pit lane right now, it's very, very calm here at Muscle Milk Picket Racing. There's laughter on the pit car. These guys are not concerned with the fuel consumption anymore. Klaus Graf in the car right now, he's been able to stretch it out to over a 36-second gap over Rebellion Racing's Nick Heidfeld. So these guys, they're pretty confident that they're good to the end of the race.
Well, which there was a question about, because they stopped just short of an hour, and typically those cars can run 50, maybe 55 minutes. But one of the good things, Johnny, is when you get a lead like this, you can adjust the fuel-air mixture that the engine takes in. You can turn down the amount of fuel that comes in. You lose horsepower when you do that, but that's how you save fuel.
Well, you know what? You can also change your driving style. Rather than bringing it full throttle all the way to the end of your braking zone, you can lift earlier. You can coast it into the corner, then hit your marks. You know, and when you have that big a gap right now, you know, in the 30-plus second mark, you're really not worrying. You're trying to look after your equipment, hit your marks, be nice, clean, mechanically sympathetic.
GT leader coming through the battle for GTC lead with Sean Edwards and Spencer Pumpelly in those two Porsches. And coming through, excuse me, thank you, coming through is Bill Oberlin in that Crown Plaza BMW.
And we talk about getting adjusted to this new car. The Z4 has a 4.4 liter engine versus a 4 liter engine last year, but the biggest change is probably the fact that the car is a little bit different in dimension. It's 10 inches shorter in the wheelbase, so it drives a little bit different. He is charged to the front in a car that is pretty well unknown to this team, and because of that, he's going to get awarded the Battery Tender Hard Charger Award. Problems early on, and he's charged his way back, John.
Well, this was his teammate, Maxime Martin. We say that sports car racing is a team game. Outbraked himself at the first corner. Took a wee while to get turned around, but with good strategy and fabulous pace from Bill Oberlin, he is ahead of the game at the moment. The fat lady hasn't started wobbling yet. No. So let's not give him it. The team would absolutely kill us, but it's been a great run thus far for BMW.
The team is been very vocal about this. It's supposed to be a development year for BMW in the Z4. When they debuted their last car, the M3 in 2009, they didn't win a single race. It took them all the way until 2010 to win a race in the championship in 2011. That's sort of what they were expecting with the Z4 as well. They thought it would take them a while to really succeed in this very competitive GT field. If they can hold on for the next 3 minutes, this is a big leap in this development program.
That's a brilliant point from Jamie Howe down in the pit lane. I remember at Sebring when the M3s first came out, Brian and you were there as well, the car of Bill Auberlen didn't even get to take the start because it wouldn't fire up from the echelon formation to go on the green flag lap. These guys have done a cracking job from Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. I mean, you know, I've just mentioned that, Johnny. That's a good team.
Yeah, it's an amazing team. Of course, they've won championships before, but to debut a car and then 2 races in, you know, you are going to win, you know, the Long Beach Grand Prix. That speaks a lot. And, you know, for Billy Auberlen, again, this is close to home for him, so you like to see something good like that. You know, Billy's been representing BMW for ages. He does an amazing job, and there's nothing better than winning in your backyard.
And it is his backyard because he's from Redondo Beach, which I could almost throw a stone to from here.
But you just said he's going to win. I'm looking at the clock. There's still 2 minutes and 5 seconds left. Anything can happen in one of these races, especially on a street circuit. As John said, the fat lady has not sung yet. So Auberlen across the line one more time. 1 minute, 53 seconds left to go here in round 2 of the 2013 season.
So watch for Klaus Graf and the Muscle Milk prototype. He'll be seeing the white flag next time around in the hands of our starter, Dennis Paul. Well, this has been a tremendous debut on the streets of Long Beach for the new Z4.
You know, this is one of the best feelings when you're a race car driver and you're coming to the end of the race and all you've got to do is hit your marks. You know what? You've got the feel for how your car is behaving on the racetrack. You've got a good gap, and all you're doing is you're focusing on technique. Again, 3 points. Turn in, apex, unwind the steering wheel, go fast.
Well, and think about this. Here's 56 and 91. The 56 running third right now.
91 ran
he
wide.
wants the position. Look at this. Dirk Mueller trying to get past the 91.
Could on the inside. Could on the inside. He's going to try and get on the power a little bit earlier.
He's got it.
W1 and 3 at the moment. And who's got the horsepower down the back straight? Viper versus BMW, both with the engine at the front. V8 versus V10, and down the inside, and side by side. They've got to give each other racing room, and somehow the BMW has squeezed through, and it's going to be a 1-2 for the new Z4. Brilliant racing.
BMW, Dirk Mueller, not to be denied there.
Last lap, stay focused, folks.
You hear him say, last lap, stay focused. But think about this, the BMW Newt, only 2 races on that car, only 4 races on the Viper coming into the season. We're watching new machinery in the American Le Mans Series jump to the front very quickly.
Next generation American Le Mans Series, right here on the streets of Long Beach.
Well, and you know, how did that pass happen? Well, the pass happened because Feinbacher didn't hit his apex. He was 2 feet wide. He then had to go into defensive mode, okay, and of course Mueller saw what was going on, did the math, made the move going down into turn 9. Beautifully done.
Can't cheat your apex, can
Yeah,
you?
I think you said that in the very beginning. There you ride on board the number 6, Klaus Graf, looking to make it 3 in a row. In hockey, they call it a hat trick. Here, 3 in a row from Muscle Milk Racing lies just up the road. Here he comes, looking at the flag stand, and off to the left, you see it. Klaus Graf, Muscle Milk Picket Racing.
Nice job, awesome job.
They win at Long Beach, 3 in a row.
And that is a team win. That is a team win, no doubt. Adapted their strategy, absolutely delivered in the pit lane, and BMW will come through up the escape road in the first 20 minutes of the race.
Fantastic drop.
And that is Bobby Rahal on the radio,
Oh, yeah.
bringing Bill Auberlen home. And I think he may be quite happy. And what about this? There's the GTC leader, Sean Edwards, going through. And there's second place going through as well. A full house of the cars in the different categories, taking the checkered flag in the hands of Dennis Paul, our starter.
Congratulations to all our winners. 5 different classes, 5 winners. We'll be back for the celebrations and the interviews from Long Beach right after this. Prototype 1 category, Klaus Graf, Lucas Luhr make it 3 wins in a row here at the beach. Jamie is with Klaus Graf.
Big smile on the face of Klaus Rockgraf. Klaus, this race came down to teamwork. It was about strategy. How proud are you of your team?
Oh, unbelievable. The guys, I mean, the Muscle Milk guys and the guys around Brent and Fry, unbelievable strategy. I mean, great work, I have to say. You know, it was really tough after qualifying, and Lucas drove very well in the beginning, and we had a perfect strategy. I have to say thanks a lot to Michelin. The street soft tires were unbelievable good today, and this is a great win for Muscle Milk, for HPD, Worth Research, Michelin. Great day for us.
3 in a row here at Long Beach. Congratulations.
Thank you.
In the GT category, it was the battle of the brand new cars here on the main streets of Long Beach, with the SRT Viper looking good in the final hour, passed by not one but 2 BMW Z4s, and the local boy Bill Oberlin, hey, he done good, and he's down with Kelly.
What a day for BMW Team RLL. They finished 1-2, but for the hometown boy, Bill Oberlin, what does it mean to you to get the first victory for this team in this new Z4?
Unbelievable. This thing was a rocket all day. We had some bad luck. That bad luck turned into good luck, and our pit strategy worked out perfect thanks to the RLL guys, thanks to these Michelin tires, and everybody here in Long Beach. I'm from Redondo Beach. I'm your neighbor. I love you guys. I wanted to win this thing forever. Never have, and what a great day for BMW.
Congratulations.
In the Prototype 2 category, it's Extreme Speed Motorsports, new to the category, and they have figured it out very, very quickly. They finished 1-2, and Scott Sharp, a former champion in Prototype 1, has returned to victory lane in Prototype.
And Extreme Speed Motorsports wasn't expecting success this early on. They knew that it was going to take some time, tough competition. But Scott Sharp, you guys just won the Grand Prix of Long Beach. What does this mean to you?
Even better, that's with the Patron Grand Prix of Long Beach. So to win your sponsor's race, that's pretty important. But just a huge, great job for the team. Actually, the last couple months, you know, they've been working their tails off, making the changeover from the GT car to the P2 car, and made some great changes overnight. I think we really improved our car from qualifying yesterday, and then great strategy called by Lee, my main engineer, and topping us off under yellow when no one else did, and we could go the rest of the way with a little bit of conservative. So just great job. Guy did a great job in the car, so a big 1-2 finish for the team.
But it's going to be a great celebration tonight. Congratulations.
A lot of Patron.
In the Continental Tire Prototype Challenge category, first time at the Long Beach circuit for the new Continental Tire, and they ran right at the front of the field pretty much all of the race. Paul Sitter in third, but Core Autosport win again.
It's the third win in a row here at Long Beach for the Core Autosport team. And Colin Brown, this was such a tight field. What was the key to the victory today?
Well, you know, the key was John Bennett did a great job at the start of this race for the Core Autosport guys, and they had a fantastic pit stop. We were able to get out in front of Bruno after the pit stop. So, you know, it comes down to the teamwork and all these guys doing just a heck of a job and save a little bit of fuel at the end, and just really proud of these guys. You know, to come back and win this race for our third straight one is just fantastic.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
From Prototype Challenge to GT Challenge, and a lot of firsts for NGT Motorsports here today, but the first that really matters is the victory. Enrique Cisneros, Sean Edwards were spectacular from the time they unloaded, and they take the victory here at Long Beach.
It was a race of first for NGT Motorsports. The first time the team was at Long Beach. The first time for Sean Edwards and Enrique Cisneros at Long Beach. Sean Edwards, though, you brought it home at the top step of the podium. How did you do it today?
It was great. It was actually made very easy for me. The team did a great pit stop. Enrique got past the Alex job car, which was the most important for us in the beginning, and then he pushed on, and we came in second, and we were leading then after the pit stop, and the only thing we had to do was save fuel the whole race. It was like Road America all over again. I was going crazy at the team on the radio saying, you know, how much have I got left, how much do I have to push, because around America, as you remember, I ran out of fuel in the last lap while in the lead, so I didn't want that to happen again, but all credit to the team. I drove like a bit like a hedgehog out there because I was trying to save my fuel and tires, but great job, and awesome for the team, and the strategy paid off, and yeah, we finally got a victory. It's great. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to our 5-class winner. Sean Edwards talked about saving fuel. Well, let's talk about the Michelin Green X Challenge, where you have to be clean, fast, and efficient. And Prototype Rebellion Racing takes the victory here at Long Beach.
In GT, it was just as close. It was the 23 Team West Alex Job Racing Ferrari who got the top spot.
And when you look at the event today, Johnny, your takeaway?
You know what? Another exciting round. Who would have guessed at the start of this race that BMW would come away? But I'm so proud of everybody at Muscle Milk. They did an amazing job.